Why did he lie to Nancy Grace? Great question. It's insight into his personality. This is someone who's very comfortable with deception. I also think he's very comfortable moving on in relationships too. I'm out of here. Too much stress. He's not that old to be married 5 times like a crazy Hollywood person with money everywhere. So good question. I think there are those that, Shaggy, there are those that take polygraphs that go in and fail. They're so convinced of their own deception skills and manipulation skills that they're going to get away with it. It's helpful to see other opinions. Have you seen a mother hide a child with a trusted friend relative to save her marriage, but not wanting the child to be with bio father, mother not realizing it would bring a massive media? I haven't, but good question. I can understand an autistic kid can become super resentful against his mother, and since she's letting stepfather rule everything, and he's also the disciplinarian, and I think personality-wise, he does like the power trip. Picture that same statement, the comment, with any 15-year-old boy, and then multiply it, I don't know how many times, by his special needs. And then the humiliation that he very likely felt with the anxiety and the pull-up. Did you hear what happened about the mom being trained in MMA? What's MMA? And do you see signs of power and control? Yeah, I did. Like a DV situation, I'm not really speaking. Yeah, and that was only by the criticism that they came out and spoke. Oh, mixed martial arts, okay. You can tell I'm old and still into boxing. I did hear about that, and that she could stand up for herself. I gotta tell you, I've seen mothers that are really tiny that you would never mess with one of their kids. Just that type of mother bears. I've seen more of those than anything else. You find it odd that they didn't call and see if Sebastian was with his dad, or at least heard from him. He really thought he ran away. Instead, they text bio dad and tell him Sebastian is missing. Really good question. And it could point to a deeper guilt. When a child is missing, all bets are off. Pride is down. Care for self is so far in the background you can't hear it in the language. You do anything and everything to find the child. That's not what happened here. That's another, I mean, this question itself, you could place this question against my theory that he was missing. He wasn't discovered missing at 6 a.m., but a lot earlier, hours earlier, I think. And that from the language. So, Amber, great question. It seems like they skipped town pretty quickly. I don't know that I've ever heard of a mother leaving the home which the child went missing on where the child would return to. But having said that, if you listen to their interviews, it's all about them. Their priority is themselves. It is not Sebastian. You know, with language, what we can look at really simply is how many words are dedicated to Sebastian, how many words are dedicated to you. Now, of course, they're going to be guided by questions. How many times did he hijack an answer and bring it back to himself? It wasn't about Sebastian. Covered this case before, Letitia Staunch. There was combative language with her, and there was a need to control the information socially. And what she revealed before we knew the evidence was that the child suffered brutally under her. Brutally. And, you know, this, I don't want to be targeted. They took the magnetic flyers off their vehicles. What we look for is a mother who immediately calls out, as if the child is lost in a supermarket, immediately calling the child's name, immediately addressing the child. How are you doing? I'm not sleeping at all. We got to find her. We got to find him. And then we look for the searching. As it becomes like a professional search and really huge, then police may say, you know what, because they worry about her, stay home. But initially, you can't control them. The parents want that child found. Anyone know if you mentioned corporal punishment after the diagnosis? I understand it to be one and only years previously. The big issue for me with that is not corporal punishment. The screaming red flag is to bring that up while he's missing. Now, if I was interviewing him, I would have gone after it. Tell me about Sebastian. Tell me about Sebastian's behavior. Listen very carefully for what and then any answers are given. I'll use those words in next questions. Who disciplines him? How is he disciplined? Silence can be magic after asking a question and letting someone speak for themselves. But the fact that he brought up that discipline, this is a sign of physical abuse in context. So, please try to remember that I'm not saying someone that spanks their kids is physically abusing them. What I'm saying is if someone brings up corporal discipline when a child is missing, they're telling you something about themselves and that child. They're blaming the child in a very subtle manner. People are going to talk when something like this happens. It's CP who watches it all. I agree. First of all, it's human nature. So when someone dies, people ask, hey, how'd the person die? Mind your own business. Well, you're making this public. You're making my business by going public, especially celebrities, and they want to be left alone as they're seeking PR. But when someone dies, it's natural to say, what did they die of? Why? Because we're afraid. Oh, he died of that. Well, that can't happen to me. Whew. Kind of like a psychological protection area. People, especially if you tell people don't talk about something, they're going to talk about it. Hey, don't look at the sun today in the eclipse. They're going to look. Katie said he walked out the door. Come home, you're not in trouble. Yeah, that was one of the signals of trouble. There was trouble. And by the way, he walked out the door is reliable language. It's what at first alerted me to the thinking that she put him out. Okay, good question here. Do you, oh no, it's not a question. I do believe Sebastian reminded Katie of Seth. One of the things that I experienced with child abusers was the targeting of a child that reminded, generally boyfriend, visibly reminded of the father, the biological father. Even with siblings, where one looks like the mother, the other one looks like the father, boyfriend targeted the one that looks like the father. I had a case where little boy had repeated injuries to his testicles. That's where boyfriend was targeting. So it gives you the idea of the psychology behind it. That's what he was targeting with the little boy. Yeah. Good question. Good question for a couple of reasons. Remembering another case, and also I think he had a penchant to hide in close spaces. We'd look for that in language, but hide in close spaces surrounded. That's why some of the kids love heavy blankets. They feel safe, or they'll go under a bed or in a closet, that sort of thing. They'll feel safe that way. Should put it out in a garage. In my opinion, as punishment, and he didn't have a code to escape. Hypothermia. Could be. And that then what happened to the body. Katie said Chris was not in the house that night. Follow-up questions would include, was he outside the house? That sort of thing, just to clear it. I think that police very likely have that cleared out. But a follow-up question would be, could he have been outside the house? Yeah, people do, especially those who lie on technicalities. That would sound more like something Chris would say, and it could have been Chris putting words to her. I don't know. Yeah, Patricia, that's where Patricia's talking about where the missing information is. Missing information exists in everything. In the context of what I'm saying is information that's been withheld. That means the person is thinking about what they don't want to say. That's where we get where language comes out slowly with that. She also said he locked the door behind him. When it shuts, locks automatically. I wonder if he had a key for a while. Statement reinforces their story that he left of his own volition. Interesting. I think we have enough in the language that tells us that there wasn't, in the very least, an argument, and that the 3-hour phone call that's mentioned about this thing is, I think, holds the key. This is a fair question to ask. Would a child trafficking ring be interested in an autistic boy? Making the assumption, of course, they know about the autism. Fair question to ask. I think not, but fair question. If video cameras did not pick him up leaving, would they have picked him up her driving out again at night, that sort of thing? Maybe another choice. Do you think law enforcement is incompetent or just keeping facts close to the vest? I think that they may be very perplexed at this point. I think they're feeling the pressure. I think the press conference wasn't a good idea. And here's why. We're going to give an update. We don't have an update. That doesn't play well in terms of confidence, and police have been unfairly, in general, blamed for everything by politicians over the last decade or so. So the job is tough enough as it is, and there are dedicated professionals who are parents out there searching and trying to uncover everything they can. Having said that, the presser didn't have any information, but chided social media. And realistically, if you want to blame social media for all different types of theories going around, talk to Chris. There would not have been anything like this had he not taken to the cameras and controlled and revealed so much about himself, so many ugly things about himself that made all of us step back and go, oh my goodness, what did Sebastian have to go through with this guy? Stepfather's responsible for that reaction. What was that 3-hour phone call about, in your opinion? About him out, about the punishment, the locking out, or the runaway under duress, or whatever it was. I think it was all about that. I think that's where the coordination took place. I think this is where the answers lie. And the thing is that if they had said, we argued, I locked him out, and I meant to let him in, then he ran off, the only thing they would get nailed on, I think, would be, well, why didn't you call 911 at 10 p.m. or whatever time you heard that? Truth is always better. I marry someone who did not want her child. It happens all the time. There was subtle, covert blaming of the victim that moved eventually, as he spoke more, to overt, plain, simple, out front. I commented on the ex-wife's interview. Just to recap, though, I found much of what she said reliable. I didn't like the emotional parts, and there was missing information. She was willing to own one slap. And I had said the last time I addressed this was that what she should have said was, well, I did slap him. And I look back now and I realize I should have slapped him a lot harder. In other words, just show that honest emotion instead of minimizing. So, she has guilt too, and that's expected, any type of relationship. But reliably, she did report some things, the main points. So I did find her reliable in that sense. But also, how could I not? I was trying to listen just to the language, but as I'm hearing her, she's describing the same person that we see on the videos.